Hey everyone, this is Saria and welcome back to my channel, Counting Her Coin. In this video, we're going to get into the steps to becoming a financial girly, how to build your own wealth and manage your own money. And this is really essential into your level up journey because when you become financially literate, you know how money works. And when you know how money works, you know how to build the life you want, get the things that you desire, and that means you're going to be investing into the stock market, into real estate, into other avenues outside of just wanting. People can always just want, oh, I want to own a house. I want to learn how to invest. I need someone to teach me. I need someone to teach me how to do this. I need someone to teach me how to buy a house. Baby, you have the capability to do it on your own. And that's why we're here today, because I'm going to tell you how to do it. Before we get into stocks and investing, we got to talk about ground zero, okay? So I touched on this earlier. You're going to want to have stable income, and you also want to have transportation and safe, comfortable housing. So your housing isn't chaotic, dysfunctional. You have really toxic relationships with your roommate, your boyfriend, your family that you live with. So you want to make sure you don't have that. You want a clear mind conducive for your growth. All right. So once we have that out the way, we're going to focus on your safety net. Your first goal is to save your first $1,000. You're going to calculate all your expenses and make a 3 to 6 month emergency fund. All right, because there's always going to be something that pops up. Like there's always going to be something's going to pop up where you need to dig into your savings. And you want to have this because you don't want to go into debt. So for example, let's say you have some car trouble and you don't have the money, so you have to charge a major expense on a credit card. So now you have more consumer debt. You want to eliminate your consumer debt. You also want to have savings in case of an emergency. So first step, you're going to save $1,000, and then after that, you're going to work on building your 3 to 6 month emergency fund. So this is really important because you're going to build your safety net. You need a safety net. So it's more important to build your safety net versus rushing to pay off debt. Yes, we definitely want to be debt free. We don't want to have consumer debt. But at the end of the day, if there's an emergency, you're just going to go into more debt by swiping your credit card because you have an emergency versus you have the funds to cover an unexpected emergency. So this is why it's really important to have this, okay? So don't rush to pay off your credit card debt. Like don't use your emergency fund to pay off consumer debt and have no savings. That's counterproductive. You're just gonna want to use the fund for emergencies and then of course build it back up because that's the whole point of having the fund in the first place. So now I want to talk about mindset and debunking money myths and unrooting your really poor relationship with money and where that root is. Like, where did that come from? So a lot of us have negative mindsets around money because our parents did. So if you grew up with lack of resources, you grew up struggling, it was paycheck to paycheck, when your parents would talk about money, it was very negative. It was never positive. It was, oh, if it's one thing, it's another. They're complaining about the bills. Oh, they're reminding you that you don't pay no bills and you need to turn off the lights, running from one room to the next, turn off the lights, things like that. You have to understand that's your parents. Like, that's not you. And the only way to break the cycle is by educating yourself on finances. The cycle ends with you. Like, you don't have to keep this paycheck to paycheck, the struggle mindset. You don't have to give that to the next generation. You can be the person that breaks it by becoming financially literate, honing on your skills, investing into the stock market, investing into real estate. Yet that can be you. It can be you. And for me personally, that was me as well. I decided that, I don't like it here. I'm going to change it. I'm just going to reprogram my subconscious mind into growth versus scarcity. I'm going to reprogram my subconscious mind into growth, into a growth mindset versus scarcity. You have to believe that you deserve wealth. You deserve to get out of poverty. You deserve to be comfortable. Some people feel like they deserve it. They deserve to struggle. And you have to unroot that. Okay? You don't have to struggle. You don't have to hustle to prove that you're you're a good person. You are a hard worker. You don't have to do that or live that way to prove anything to anyone. You just have to know that you deserve a good life and believe it and tell yourself that every day. And a way to get out of that is just by teaching yourself, like watching a video like this, you are telling your subconscious mind that you are deserving of wealth. You are deserving of a comfortable life just by consuming financial information. And then not only consuming it, you put it into action. So whatever you learn, you're putting into action so you can improve your life. Next thing, I want you also to calculate your net worth. So your net worth is basically all your liabilities minus your assets. So your assets are your retirement account, your brokerage account, your homes. You can even add your car in there if you wanted to. I usually wouldn't add a car, but go ahead if you like. This is your student loan debt, your credit card debt. This is your liabilities. This is like the negative side. So you add that up, all right, and then you tally it and you subtract your assets from your liabilities, and whatever that is your net worth at the bottom. All right. So calculating your net worth is just a good way to stay on track and know where you're at. It's better just to know where you're at so then you can know where you're going. Now that you calculated your net worth, you have the number. Are you satisfied with that number? It's okay if you're not, because I wasn't satisfied with mine either. And that is when I decided to do something about it. So now I want to challenge you to write down 20 ways that you can increase your net worth. And that's where you're going to start brainstorming. You're going to go down rabbit holes online, on TikTok, on YouTube, on real estate podcasts. Like, you're just going to be wanting to soak up as much information so you can change your net worth. So now we're going to talk about debt. So consumer debt, credit card debt, car loans, student loans, that is consumer debt. And it's just best to become debt free. And you're probably like, well, duh, I know that. Because, of course, being a millennial in our generation, it was go to school, take out the loan, get a job after. And then when we got into the job market, the jobs were not great. You were selling us a $150,000 student loan for education, and the jobs are not even paying $50K. We were bamboozled. So you are going to just work on increasing your income so you can pay off this debt. Because the sooner the debt is gone, then you have wiggle room, and then you have more money to invest and save. So yes, you are going to save your income. You are going to build your emergency fund first, and then we're going to focus on paying down the debt. I worked multiple jobs. I would pick up extra shifts. I did whatever I needed to do to pay it off. And it was such a burden lifted off of me that not only was it freeing to be rid of the debt, but it also helped me be in a position to buy my first home at 29. So there are two types of way to pay off your debt. There's the snowball method and the avalanche method. The snowball method is you pay the smallest amount on your balances. So let's say you have a credit card that's $1,000, you have another balance that's $2,000, and then going up all the way to maybe like a $10,000 balances on various cards. You pay the smallest one off first, and then you work your way up. So it's like a little snowball, and it's going downhill, and it gets bigger and bigger is the idea. So this one, it does make you feel better by paying it off. I feel like because you can pay off a smaller balance faster than a larger balance. But depending on how much interest you have on your credit card, it doesn't really make financial sense to pay off a smaller balance with a lower interest rate versus a higher balance with a higher interest rate. So we're going to go into the next one, which is avalanche. So avalanche is you just pay off the highest balance with the highest interest rate, and you go from there. So whatever has the highest interest rate balance, you pay that one off first, and then you go down. So it's like an avalanche. You start from the top and you all the way to the bottom to the smallest balance you have. Being able to manage your money is super important because it helps you live below your means and keep track of your expenses, your spending, which it can get a little funky if you don't pay attention to these things. When I didn't have my budget, I was just buying whatever when I wanted, and then I would wonder where all my money went at the end of the month. So I actually created a spreadsheet that you can buy from my website. It's a beginner-friendly budget spreadsheet that you can use to track your expenses, your income, and keep track of your financial goals, your investment goals with this spreadsheet. So if you're interested in that, you can grab that spreadsheet from my website. The link is going to be in my description box below. On top of having your budget spreadsheet, you're going to want to go through your bank statements and kind of go through line by line on your spending habits. For me personally, I was eating out a ton for no reason. Just because I was being lazy and I didn't want to cook, I would do Uber Eats, DoorDash. I spent hundreds of dollars on food alone, and I had no idea. Going back to living below your means. So before I moved to Maryland, I lived in San Francisco, which was so expensive. Okay, I couldn't afford to do anything. And for me, I decided to move from San Francisco to Maryland, and I was able to save more money because the cost of living was significantly lower in Baltimore versus San Francisco. It might be beneficial to just relocate so you can save on cost of living. I'm not saying you have to stay in that place forever. I'm just saying if you feel like you're drowning because of the cost of living in your city, maybe look into moving temporarily just for a few years, just to save money, to work on your investments, to become more stable, financially secure, and go back later. I'm not saying forever. I'm not saying the place you want to live is not great. I'm just saying let's just be smart and logical and make educated decisions and figure out a way that you can maximize your life and you don't feel like you're crumbling because of the cost of living in your city. Now, roommates. It also might be beneficial just to get some roommates, room shares. There are groups, like for example, I have a Level Up page where you could connect with other like-minded women. You can go on Facebook groups like that. You can join mine as well. There's a link in my bio to join my free Level Up page. Groups like that where you can link with like-minded women and maybe get a apartment together, a nice apartment together, maybe a nice penthouse together, and split that amongst yourselves. And you can live in a nice area, but you don't have to actually spend the money it costs to live in that type of building. So getting roommates is a really smart way to save money. I had roommates my whole entire life up until I bought my house at 29. And that's actually how I was able to buy my house, by saving my money by room sharing. don't mind delaying the gratification. So delayed gratification will get you a lot further in life. Delayed gratification will get you the house you want, will get you your debt-free goal. It will get you to where you need to be just by delaying. I'm not saying forever. It's not saying you can't get that item that you want, just not right now. Like, does it have to be right now is the question. So really be patient with your journey and be patient with yourself. It's gonna take some time. Like, this isn't an overnight thing. This was years in the making for me, and it's gonna take some time. But either way, a year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now, it's going to happen. So you might as well just implement the steps and habits today and just be better off in the future. If you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe to my channel, like this video, and share this video with a friend. So let's get into step 1, paying yourself first. That is the first step to breaking yourself out of the paycheck to paycheck cycle and building an emergency fund. So what you're gonna do is, instead of using all your money to pay your bills first, so usually when you get your paycheck, you pay all your bills, and then whatever you have left over is what you have left over, and you kind of just like survive off that until the next paycheck. And that doesn't really leave a lot of room to invest or save. But right now, we're just going to focus on building the habit of saving, paying yourself first. So what you're going to do is you're going to go to your employer and set up on direct deposit that 10% of your income goes to a high yield savings account automatically before it even gets to your main checkings account. So you want to just do this and not really think about it, because it's going to be hard to like get the money and then deposit it into an account, because you're going to want to spend it, right? It's just better to go ahead and set up the direct deposit to go into a high yield savings account. A high yield savings account is a savings account that has a higher interest rate that you make on the money that you deposit into that account. So a traditional account like Chase or Wells Fargo or Bank of America, there is a 0.01% interest on the savings account, versus a high yield savings account, that interest rate can be 3 to 4% interest on the money that you put into that account. So it just makes sense to just put your savings into a high yield account versus a traditional savings, because why not? You make money off the money you already put up in there. So you might as well get 3 to 5% interest on that versus 0.01%. I'm going to put a list of high yield savings accounts right here that you can go ahead and open one today. It is free and it only takes maybe a few minutes to do. So go ahead, screenshot this, write it down, and go open you a high yield savings account, because what are you waiting for? Like, why not? So with that being said, now that you're getting in a habit of paying yourself first, you are then going to work on making money in various ways. So one source of income is just one step away from being unemployed and poverty, okay? So you have to work on increasing your income and finding other hustles, other avenues to make money. So you're not dependent on one source, okay? So you want to think of your income like a table. A table with one leg is gonna fall over, right? If it's one of those tables that only have one leg. But if you have a table with multiple legs, right? And let's say one leg got cut off, the table's still gonna stand. It might be a little shaky. It might, be a little wobbly, but the table will stand. So you have to have that same structure for your income, finding side hustles and streams of income outside of your job. So you want to find things like getting royalties, writing an ebook, making digital products, creating value, a product that someone wants to buy. And you also might want to look into picking up an extra side job you could do on the weekend. I personally think it's a great idea to get a cash-based job, something like tips, like a server, a bartender, a bottle girl, a golf cart girl, anything like that, to make extra money so you can get to your financial goals faster, okay? And I also want to say this too, you can probably at most have 2 jobs at most. But when you have income streams outside of yourself, outside of you physically have to go get the money, that's even better. So maybe creating a business, a Shopify store where you are selling something, a book, a product, anything you can think of, that would be best to add that on top of the jobs or job you have. Another thing I want to say is you might just want to invest into a career coach, a reverse recruiter to help you get the job that just makes more income. It's a lot easier to just obtain skills and hone your own skills to be marketable in the job market, so you can just get a higher paying job versus working multiple jobs. I've done both. It's a lot easier to just get a higher paying job, like one job that is higher paying versus multiple ones, because you're going to be tired. You're pulling yourself in different directions, right? So we are just going to look into career advancement, all right? Because once you increase your income, then you have more money to save, more money to invest, and more money to qualify for different investments like real estate. You need a certain income level to qualify for the value of the house. So if a house is X amount of dollars, let's say it's $400,000, you probably would need $80,000 to $100,000 per year to qualify for that house, right? So that's why it's really important to have multiple ways to have multiple streams of income, to have a higher paying job so you can dip your toes into different investments. But not all investments are created equal. You don't need an income limit to invest. That is just one example and one way you can buy real estate. Another way is investing into the stock market. You're going to want to find ways to compound your money. You're going to find ways to grow your money over time. And you can do this by investing into the stock market. So let's talk about debunking investing myths. So you don't need a financial advisor to manage your portfolio. You can do this on your own. I feel like with media and TV and movies and TV shows, there might be scenes of really successful people in movies and they have like financial advisors, and it could send the message that you need to have someone to help you manage your money. But honestly, you don't need a financial advisor. I don't have a financial advisor. I taught myself everything. I taught myself how to buy index funds, how to buy stocks on the stock market, how to buy real estate. You don't need no one to help you. You just need YouTube University, because all the information is there and it's for free. So for people who want to get into investing, step one, you have to open a brokerage account, which is super easy. It doesn't take that long. You can even do this over the phone if you really wanted to, but go to a brokerage website. So there are different accounts you can use. There's Vanguard, there's Fidelity. I can name them all actually. There's Charles Schwab's, there's M1 Finance. You can open an account with any of those brokerages. So that's step one. Step two is to link your checking account and transfer the funds. I have my checking account linked to my brokerage account, linked to my retirement accounts, because when I have extra funds, or maybe I had a really good month on Airbnb, I worked extra hours at my job, I deposit that money into a brokerage account. I deposit a little bit more money into my retirement account. So it's always linked, and you can transfer as much or as little as you want to transfer. Now I'm going to go off camera and show some slides, and I'm going to get into investing. So investing isn't as scary as one may think. It's not very complicated. It's as simple as buying something off Amazon. I like to describe it just like that. You go online, you research a product you want, you look at the reviews, and you make a decision that, okay, I'm going to buy this product. That's just investing. Like, that's the same thing I do when I buy stocks. I look at a product, I look at a stock I want, I do some research on the company, what's going on in the world, like staying up with current events that's connected to the industry that that stock is in, and then I make an educated decision on how much money do I want to invest into the company. So for example, let's start with index funds. Index funds are my favorite. Honestly, my portfolio is mostly index funds because it's easy. I can buy the index fund, I can invest as little as $5, $10, $15 into an index fund, or I can invest more. But it's a great starting point for someone who just wants to get into the habit of investing. Maybe invest $50 right now, maybe like $25 right now, just to get into the habit. And then you have this habit that you're building over time. So when you start making more money, you can then invest more money, and you already have the habits in place to keep it going. Okay. So an index fund, which you're probably wondering, what is that? Because girl, what you talking about? An index fund is just a basket of stocks. So let's imagine a huge basket of stocks through different companies: Target, Microsoft, Facebook, Amazon, Apple, whatever. And is a basket of the top performing countries. Like I said, country. It's a basket of stocks of the top 500 companies. Okay, top performing companies. Okay, and you own a slither of each company. That is an index fund. Okay, so we're gonna go to a slide. So I'm gonna talk about it more in detail.
So this is a video. It's still going. This is a video of me buying an index fund. And as you can see, I'm on Fidelity, and you can see the performance over the past 10 years. You can see the growth, and it has information about the expense ratio, and you see how much you pay. So there's a fee for trading stocks, and this index fund is only 15 cents per $1,000, which is literally like nothing. And it holds in this index fund. You can buy index funds, which is basically a piece of the pie. I have the top 10 companies out of 500 companies in this portfolio. So I own a piece of all those companies. So here we go into me buying this index fund. When you buy an index fund, you can literally just put any amount of money to buy a piece of this index fund. For example, if you had $20, you can buy a piece of this index fund. That's what's so beautiful about it. Like, if you don't have the money to buy a full stock, if you don't have the money, let's say you want to buy Tesla, you don't have $800 to buy Tesla stock, you can buy an index fund that has Tesla in it, and you can buy it. So now your money is spread out. It's called diversification. So see how easy that was to buy that stock? I was like, okay, I want to buy an index fund, this stock. I put it in, I buy it. Like, look how easy that was. And look at that. Preview order. I want to spend $300 on this index fund. I'm okay with the price. I make sure I buy it for my brokerage account, and I press enter. Confirmation done. Okay, now I own $300 worth of Fidelity 500 index fund. And now I am diversified throughout all those companies in that index fund. This is the index fund I bought in the video. And as you can see, the top holding, so the index holds over 500 companies. The top 10 are Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, Facebook, Google, Berkshire, which that's Warren Buffett's, he's attached to that company. Tesla, JP Morgan. Wow, you are invested in all these companies. With $20, you can be invested with all these companies. $50, $100, $300, $5,000. You can be you can be diverse in all of these companies without taking on the risk of actually buying the stock. For example, Amazon stock is over $3,000. I don't know about you, but I don't have $3,000, but I want to be invested with the company. So I want to talk about the difference in stocks. So there are dividend stocks and there are growth stocks. So for example, a stock can give out dividends, which is a sum of money that's paid out regularly, typically quarterly. Some companies can do monthly, but they're typically quarterly, like every 3 months, by the company to its shareholders. So it'll get profit. So like, let's say, oh, we had a great quarter. We had over, I don't know, $500 million in profit. We're going to give some money to our shareholders who bought our stocks. So for example, like Starbucks, Target, Apple, even Louis Vuitton, they have dividends. They pay you for holding on to their stocks, investing into their companies. Growth stocks are stocks that like you are buying the stock in hopes that the value goes up tremendously. So Amazon, if you bought Amazon like 20 years ago, you're very, very wealthy. You bought it when it was like less than, I don't know how much it opened for. Let's say it was $20 or $30. Now it's worth over $3,000. For example, let's say I love Starbucks. I go to Starbucks all the time. I'm a Starbucks queen. I have to have my venti latte every morning, right? Say you're that person. So you're going to type in the ticker number of the company. So for example, the ticker number is a symbol you use to look up companies on the stock exchange. Every company has a ticker number. So the beginning of the market. So the market is open from Monday to Friday, 9:30 to like 4 p.m., I believe. And throughout the day, the market changes. So stocks go up and down, and they constantly change throughout the whole entire day. So let's say at 9:30 a.m., the market opens, and Starbucks opens at $87.45. You put a market order in at 10 a.m. and it's $87.50 now because it changed by 5 cents. So when you buy a market order, you are requesting to buy or sell a stock immediately at that available price, but you have to be aware that you can put an order in and it can literally change like in seconds. Like it changes all the time. And let's say the second example, let's talk about limit order, where the limit order, you have more control. So the request is to buy a stock only at a certain price or better. So let's say the second example, Starbucks opens at the same price, $87.45, and you put a limit order at 10 a.m. and say, you know what, my values don't align with that price. I'm going to buy Starbucks stock at $80. So you put an order in saying that the order is only going to go through if it hits that number. So this gives you more control. You can be in your budget, and you can really just spend your money how you want and not worry about the market order. So that's an example. And if you don't know the ticker number, always go on Google. Google is your best friend. YouTube is your best friend. So if you have a company in mind, or you just want to research if they're even publicly traded, just Google it and say, Google the company and their ticker number, and it'll show up, or it'll tell you if they're publicly traded or not. Like for example, Chanel is not publicly traded. So you cannot find Chanel on the stock exchange, for example. So again, just a little research goes a long way.
The way I was able to buy my first property was getting in the mindset of being a homeowner, starting my home buying process before I had anything in place. I started my home buying process before I had savings, before I had the credit score, before I had little to no consumer debt. I started my home buying process before I had those things. And that set me up to be able to buy the house at 29. So what was I doing? I researched different mortgage loans. I researched the qualifications that you needed to be able to qualify for the loan. And I just followed that step. It sounds simple. It did take work. It took me several years to get to that point, but I started the journey before I had all those things. Because just by getting into the home buying process, you start doing things to get you ready to buy a house. So you're going to realize, oh, I need the right credit score. What do I need to do? Oh, I got to pay off debt. So then you start getting into habits to help you pay off the debt, right? So then now you're like, okay, I got the credit score. What else do I need? Well, okay, if I want this home that costs X amount of dollars in this certain area that I want to live, I have to make a certain amount of income. How can I make that income? So then I started brainstorming because I was like, okay, well, I can't afford this right now. So I have to make more income. So then I'm starting to brainstorm ways to make more income so I can qualify for the house that I want. Okay. And of course I got creative. Like, you always got to use creativity. So let's say that you don't make enough with your job. Like, let's say you're like, oh, okay, I'm a little behind, income wise. But let's say you pick up another job just for a year or two, just so you can qualify for the house that you want. Sometimes you just gotta hustle for a short amount of time and it'll pay off later. So that's what I did. I just had to go to work. And I worked multiple jobs to be able to qualify for my house, right? I also want to say that you don't have to buy a house on your own. You can get a mortgage with someone else. Like, let's say you make $50K, your bestie makes $50K. Y'all have $100,000 income. Y'all can get a mortgage and qualify together for the house. And let's say you buy a duplex. You live in one side with your bestie and y'all rent the other side on Airbnb and get to that money, right? And now you are living rent-free, mortgage-free in the duplex with your best friend. You guys are creating a source of income, and now you have more wiggle room to save more money so you can branch off and do your next investment on your own. But you are focusing on everything you don't have versus using creativity, using resources, using the people in your life that you have right now to build wealth, right? So there are many ways to buy a house, but what's going to help you get there is being creative, being a little patient with yourself, and just doing a little research and seeing how it can be done. Instead of listing ways of how you can afford a house, maybe list 20 ways how you can afford a house. And then your brain's going to start moving and the ideas are going to start flowing. Okay, they're going to start flowing. And that is where the answer is. That's where the answer lies, among the creativity. All right, so I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you have any more questions, leave them in the comments section below. Don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel, follow me on all my socials, and don't forget to sign up for my free Level Up group. It's a free Facebook group where you can connect with like-minded women who are on their level up journey. And you also, if you want to start your financial journey, you need help with budgeting, check out my website, countinghercoin.com, where I sell budget spreadsheets that can help you track your spending and track your financial goals so you can be on top of everything. Thank you so much for watching this video. I had a great time making it, and I'll see you next week with a brand new video. Bye, guys.
Girl, you're so fly, but I got something I can tell you that'll make you fly, yeah. Elevate you and take you higher. Grant your wishes and your heart's desire.